This will sound very strange, but an emergency evacuation due to a tsunami alert on December 2nd, 2023, on the island of Okinawa, which rhymes with Obama, as does Enola, the name of the bomber plane that departed Okinawa and dropped the first atomic bomb on Japan, as well as a prophetic sign on the same day, on December 2nd, 2023, involving people being trapped in their planes next to the first Nazi concentration camp, on the same day as the evacuation on Okinawa, where Enola departed from and dropped the first atomic bomb, are prophetic signs from the righteous Christian God of the Bible that are predicting that a dirty bomb or suitcase nuke will explode in Manhattan, New York City on March 22nd, 2025. The date that this video is posted proves that this prediction is being made ahead of time, as does this time-stamped email and forensic notes PDF document. If you are skeptical for some reason, please email me and I will forward these to you. If you have already watched this introductory information in another video that is about the prediction for the dirty bombs in New York City on March 22nd, then you can skip ahead 33 minutes. God's true big picture of signs, patterns, and connections is only being explained on this channel. The full intended meaning of God's prophetic signs cannot be properly understood without their context and connections to other prophetic signs. God's big picture of signs is an interconnected web. It is through these connections between related prophetic signs that God is telling very important stories that are revealing very important knowledge. For example, it is through God's big picture of signs, patterns, and connections that he is revealing the death of Vice President Kamala Harris in a plane crash. For many years, God has been painting this particular picture through his prophetic signs, and along the way he has been developing numerous trails of connected signs that are leading to the precise date that Harris is predicted to die in a plane crash. Here is a diagram that illustrates one such example among countless examples. As we can see here, God has demonstrated a number of trails of signs that led to August 24th, 2023. It was known ahead of time that there would be a prophetic sign related to the death of Kamala Harris in a plane crash on August 24th, and then on this day, Vladimir Putin was the first public official to confirm that the Russian general and leader of the Wagner Group that attempted a coup of Vladimir Putin died in a plane crash, which hints at the soft coup that has been unfolding in America in recent years. In retrospect, it could have been easily predicted that the Russian general of the Wagner Group would die in a plane crash on August 24th because it was known that August 24th is 54 days before October 17th, which was another date God was pointing to ahead of time. This is why on August 24th, Trump, God's trumpet, had in 5 months been arrested for the 4th time in the 4th state. It also hinted at the number 54. God has been using in his signs the theme of the 54th Massachusetts Regiment, the first black regiment to fight in the Civil War, who were known for fighting valiantly at Fort Wagner. This is why, in retrospect, it could have been predicted that the leader of the Wagner Group, the Russian general who attempted a coup, could have been predicted ahead of time to be on August 24th, 54 days before October 17th, 2023. As we can see in this diagram, the trail of signs continues on from August 24th to the date it is predicted that Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash on February 24th. This is how God's true big picture of signs, patterns, and connections works. And this theme of the 54th Massachusetts Regiment is an example of a story that God is telling that is extremely important. Actually, February 24th ended up being another step in the trail of signs regarding the prediction for Kamala Harris's death in a plane crash. The date 224 hints at 2 times 24 and hints at G2424 in Strong's Greek Bible Concordance, which is the Greek word for the name Jesus. Greek letters are also numbers, and the numeric value of the name Jesus in Greek is equal to 888. The number 24 is 8 plus 8 plus 8. The other prophetic signs on February 24th also revealed the number 8. This includes the S&P 500 stock market index's close for the weekend at 5,088.80. The stock market closed at 5,088.80 points because the most central prophecy in the Bible describes a period of time between the decree to rebuild Jerusalem and Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem in his first coming. From the text of the prophecy, it is straightforward that this period of time is 5,888 moon cycles, which means that the year of Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem in his first coming was a year in which there was an extra month of Adar in the Hebrew calendar. The year 30, 31, and 33 AD did not have an extra month of Adar. This is one clear reason for how it is indisputable that the year of Jesus' triumphal entry and his death and resurrection was in 32 AD. This prophetic stock market sign also proves this. And the Boston Celtics basketball team's 8th win in a row, giving them an 8-game lead over the next team, and the dangerous basketball court storming incident after the 8th ranked Blue Devils college basketball team lost to the Deacon Demons in an upset. Also on February 24th, Trump won the primary for the 8th state to join the Union when he beat the former governor of the 8th state. Trump campaigned in the capital of the 8th state on the day of Harris's third visit to the 8th state this year, which hinted at 3 8s and 888. The name Trump in Simple English Gematria is equal to 88. Donald J. Trump in English Gematria is equal to 888. The S&P 500 stock market index close at 5,088.80 on February 24th hinted at adding 5 times 8 days from February 24th to reach April 4th. 5 times 8 days after the stock market was closed at 5,088.80 points was the date 4/4, April 4th. The Antichrist is the 44th president and also the basketball president who wore jersey number 23 in high school. It is predicted that the 44th president will become the president again after the death of Kamala Harris in a plane crash, and the date 4/4 in 2024 was exactly 2 times 3 years, which hints at the number 23. After the crash of the Thunderbirds jet that was number 4 in its squad on the date 4/4 in 2018. Thunderbirds jets are F-16s, which hints at 4 times 4. This Thunderbirds jet crashed in the 36th state, and the number 36 hints at 666, the number of the Antichrist in Bible prophecy, as 36 hints at 3 6s, and also it is 6 times 6, and 2 times 18, which is 6 plus 6 plus 6, and the 36th triangular number, which in a triangle of numbers, the last number in the 36th row is 666, and 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 all the way up to 36 equals 666. Alaska is the 49th state to join the Union. The The 49th vice president is predicted to die in a plane crash. She was the first woman vice president, and her death will point to the coming 49th president, Michelle Obama, who is predicted to become the first woman president. And on the date 4/4, Alaska Airlines announced that it had received $4 times $4 million from Boeing for the door that blew out of its plane in January. This announcement regarding $4 times $4 million on the date 4/4 was exactly 4 times 4 days before 2 Japanese military helicopters collided and crashed. 4 + 4 Japanese military crew died in the crash. In God's signs, helicopter blades are symbolic of the letter X, which is symbolic of the mark of the Antichrist that is described in Bible prophecy. Also, the mark of the Antichrist changes a person's chromosomes, which is symbolized by an X. An X helicopter blade hints at 4 points, and 2 helicopter blades hints at 4 and 4. The 2 helicopters and their blades that hinted at 4 and 4 crashed and killed 4 + 4 people 4 times 4 days after the date 4/4 and the announcement regarding $4 times $4 million. The reason why God is using Japan in his signs is that the land of the rising sun, with a sun on its flag, is symbolism for the coming catastrophic solar flare that will knock out America's power grid, and Japan is symbolism for nuclear bombs. Also on the date 4/4 in 2024, demolition of the Uranus building in Taiwan began. Images of the Uranus building that was leaning on a 25-degree angle after the strongest earthquake in Taiwan in 25 years became emblematic of the destruction in Taiwan. In other words, the Uranus building came to symbolize the Taiwan earthquake. Uranium is used in the production of nuclear bombs, and uranium was named a couple of years after the discovery in 1781 of the planet Uranus. The name for uranium was inspired by the discovery of the planet Uranus. In God's signs, Uranus is symbolic of nuclear bombs. Barack Obama was the first sitting president to visit Hiroshima, Japan. The Taiwan earthquake was 7.4 in magnitude, which hinted at the date 7/4, which symbolizes America, making this earthquake a warning of judgment for America. The demolition of the Uranus building occurred on the same day as the 4.8 magnitude earthquake that shook New York City, where the dirty bombs are predicted to explode. And it was said by people in New York City that the earthquake felt like a bomb had exploded. This 4.8 magnitude earthquake was centered in a town named White House Station in New Jersey. The 44th president will become the president again through the use of the 25th Amendment. This is why on the date 4/4, demolition began on the Uranus building that was leaning at a 25-degree angle after the strongest earthquake in Taiwan in 25 years. God is communicating that after the bombs with nuclear uranium material are detonated in Manhattan, New York City, there will be a large-scale evacuation. The 44th president became the president in 2009. In God's signs, the number 9 is the most important number, as from the Bible it symbolizes God's judgment. The news stories of the Taiwan earthquake focused on the hundreds of people that were trapped in the national park that needed to be evacuated. On the date 4/4, 9 people were rescued and evacuated from a cave system named 9 Turns in the national park. Also, 25 is the 9th semi-prime number, a number that is divisible by only 2 other numbers. And this is why the strongest earthquake in Taiwan in 25 years and the iconic tower, the Uranus building, leaning on a 25-degree angle. These 25s also hint at the number 9. The demolition of the Uranus building and the evacuation of 9 people from a cave system named 9 Turns is exactly 9 months and 9 days to the predicted uranium bomb explosion in Manhattan and evacuation from Manhattan Island. The demolition of the Uranus building and evacuation on the date 4/4 is also exactly 40 weeks and 4 days before the predicted uranium bomb and evacuation from Manhattan Island. The 44th president was inaugurated in 2009, and this is the reason for the 9 months and 9 days connection from the date 4/4, when 9 people were rescued from the 9 Turns cave system. The date 4/4 was 4,444% of a calendar year after the beginning of the 444-day Iran hostage crisis, which began on the date 11/4 in 1979, and the date 11/4 hints at 11 times 4 equals 44, and the Iran hostage crisis led to the attempt to rescue the hostages in what was known as Operation Eagle Claw, which was aborted after only 5 out of 8 helicopters made it to the first stage in the desert of Iran, after which 4 plus 4 U.S. military service personnel were killed and 4 were injured in an aviation disaster in the desert. And this date 4/4, that was 4,444% of a year after the beginning of the 444-day Iran hostage crisis, is also 4 times 4 times 4 times 4, in other words, 4 to the power of 4 days exactly before December 16th, 2024, when Ukraine's SBU intelligence agency named Russian General Igor Kirillov the head of Russia's army's radiation, chemical, and biological protection troops in a criminal case for the mass use of prohibited chemical weapons on the eastern and southern fronts in Ukraine. It cited more than 4,800 cases of the enemy using chemical munitions on Ukrainian territory since the start of the full-scale Russian invasion in February 2022. Kirillov was internationally known for repeating that Ukraine was seeking to develop a, quote, dirty bomb, unquote. He alleged that, quote, 2 organizations in Ukraine have specific instructions to create a so-called dirty bomb. This work is in its final stage, unquote. He said that Ukraine would deploy the dirty bomb as a false flag and blame Russia. What this means is that this is a prophetic sign from God that he is using to confirm that the coming predicted dirty bomb or suitcase nuke that will be detonated in Manhattan will be a U.S. false flag. The following day, on December 17th, the Russian general who made accusations of a dirty bomb was killed when a bomb exploded outside of his residence. This was on the exact 9+9+9th anniversary of the release of the movie Wag the Dog, about fabricating a war to distract from a presidential scandal. Again, the number 9 is the most important number in God's big picture of signs, patterns, and connections, as from the Bible it symbolizes God's judgment. And again, God repeats a number 3 times for emphasis of its symbolic meaning. And so we have this theme here of what seems to be communicated from God of a false flag. And we have this connection of exactly 9+9+9 years. This is a profound connection to the date that this Russian general who was claiming dirty bombs died in a bomb. And again, this date was expected in advance to be such a sign, to be such an event. So it was confirmation of what was expected on December 16th and 17th. Both of these dates were expected, actually. Both of these dates were being predicted ahead of time by God. And it was funny because, usually it's not 2 days, but this is the case. And then we had this. We had the announcement on the 16th and then his death on the 17th. Well, anyway, not only is it 9 plus 9 plus 9 years exactly, this death from an explosion of the dirty bomb accuser after the movie Wag the Dog, but December 17th is also, in turn, exactly 9 plus 9 plus 9 days to January 13th, the date of the predicted dirty bomb or suitcase nuke in New York City. December 16th was 4 to the power of 4 days after the demolition of the Uranus building on the date 4/4, which was 4,444% of a year after the beginning of the 444-day Iran hostage crisis. December 16th is exactly 4 weeks before the predicted suitcase nuke or dirty bomb explosion in New York City. All right, now this 4 weeks connection that I'm referring to here took us to January 13th, another very important day and step in the trail of signs that is leading to the predicted dirty bombs in New York City. As explained in another video, the prophetic signs we received on this day included the G3 Atlas comet, which reached its perihelion on this day, and this comet is known now for its explosion as it reached perihelion. The nucleus fragmented. There was these outpouring of gases from the nucleus, as in the hint at nuclear. Therefore, that matter was also the aspect of the tail, which had a nuclear shadow, as what it's called, and on and on. So as I explained in the other video, this was the nuclear comet, and this was also on the day that the moon occulted Mars. And Mars is symbolic of war in ancient astrology, including Semitic Hebrew astrology, and that's why it's used in God's signs for symbolism. And so what I also want to mention too is that this January 13th in turn connects to March 22nd, 2025, the date for the predicted dirty bombs, which will be on the moon phase of the half moon, which is why it connects with this moon conjunction of Mars on January 13th. The connection is 68 days, and the word for bomb in Hebrew gematria is equal to 68. Also, the name Obama is equal to 68 in Hebrew gematria. And again, Obama hints at O-bomb-a, and hence why the series of fours connection, which I went at length to explain, that led to January 13th, hinting at the 44th president, O-bomb-a. Also, incidentally, the Beirut barrack bombings, which hinted at Barack, occurred exactly 444 months after the first UN session in New York City. And the peacekeeping forces in Beirut that were bombed were related to the UN. And the Antichrist will also lead a world government body and the UN in the end times. Now, the barrack bombings that hinted at Barack Obama were 21,600 minutes, which is 15 days, before the Capitol building was bombed in 1983. 21,600 minutes hints at 216. Barack Obama was born on the 216th day of the calendar year. 216 is 6 times 6 times 6. But also, the name Barack is equal to 216 in English gematria. And so the name of the barrack bombings hints at Barack, and then the name Barack is equal to 216, and that's why we have the 21,600 minutes connection to the Capitol building bombing, when the May 19th Communist Organization bombed the Capitol building, and Barack Obama was a member of the May 19th Communist Organization at that time, during 1983. And that's a fact, and that's also explained in other videos. I just wanted to add that here. Now, this 68 days between the perihelion of the comet and the nuclear comet, I should say, and the occultation of Mars by the moon to the half-moon phase and the predicted dirty bombs in New York City on March 22nd. This 68 days is also 2 months and 9 days, which hints at 29, which is a number that God uses in his signs to symbolize the moon, because the moon cycle is 29 or 29 and a half days. Now, if you recall, at the beginning of this video, I was talking about the signs that occurred on February 24th, 2024. And that gave us the revelation to add the 5 times 8 days to get to the date 4/4 and all of that, right? So let's return back to February 24th now, which is what we were talking about a while ago, and I'll explain. So far, I have explained how the big picture of signs, patterns, and connections works, and I have explained how the trail of signs was leading to the date February 24th in regards to the date that Kamala Harris is predicted to die in a plane crash. The trail of prophetic signs that are leading to the date it is predicted that Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash led to February 24th. The same is true regarding the prediction that 2 dirty bombs or a suitcase nuke will be detonated in Manhattan, New York City, like Harris's predicted plane crash. God was also pointing to February 24th ahead of time regarding the prediction that 2 dirty bombs will be detonated in Manhattan. Likewise, the signs on February 24th revealed adding 5 times 8 days to reach the date 4/4, and as was explained, the signs on the date 4/4 in terms of the dirty bomb explosions in New York City revealed adding exactly 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 days, 4 to the power of 4 days, and then exactly 4 weeks to reach January 13th, 2025, which in turn connects to March 22nd, 2025. The date it is predicted that the dirty bombs will explode and there will be an evacuation in New York City. The signs on February 24th included the largest peacetime evacuation in the United Kingdom in order to enable the safe removal and detonation of a recently discovered 500-pound World War II bomb. Also on February 24th, an explosive was detonated outside the office of the Attorney General of Alabama after the Alabama Supreme Court ruled 8 days before February 24th that embryos are human life. The 8 days connection between the Supreme Court of Alabama's ruling and the bomb outside the Attorney General's office of Alabama on the February 24th is the reason for the series of signs involving the number 8, as was explained on February 24th. And for the 5 times 8 days connection, as was explained. These very important signs are explained in the Alabama O-bomb-a video. God developed elaborate trails of signs that led to February 24th in order to communicate extremely important knowledge through the many different stories contained in these trails of prophetic signs. There are about 70 videos related to the predicted dirty bomb in New York City on this channel that predict that these dirty bombs would explode and there would be an evacuation from Manhattan Island on February 3rd. Each of these videos tell a different and very important story that everyone needs to know. And these stories are developed through trails of connected prophetic signs that led to February 3rd, 2024. In other words, God's prophetic signs connected to February 3rd, and then on February 3rd we received the prophetic sign that was expected in advance of February 3rd. The prophetic sign that occurred on February 3rd that was expected in advance of February 3rd was the U.S. airstrikes in Iraq and Syria in response to the drone plane attack on the U.S. Tower 22 base in Jordan. The airstrike mission for the 2 U.S. bombers took 2 times 22 hours and began on the date 2/2, February 2nd. 2 B-1B bombers were used in the airstrikes. The letter B is the second letter in the alphabet. 2 B-1B bombers hint at 2 dirty bombs in the area code 212, which is Manhattan Island. The airstrikes carried out by 2 bomber planes on the date 2/2 that were in a response to the drone attack on the Tower 22 base revealed adding 22 days from the date 2/2 to reach February 24th, the day of the 2 prophetic bomb signs, and the other signs that revealed adding 5 times 8 days to reach the date 4/4, on which the prophetic signs revealed adding exactly 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 days to reach December 16th, which is exactly 4 weeks to January 13th, which as explained is 68 days or 2 months and 9 days to March 22nd, 2025, the date it is predicted that 2 dirty bombs will explode in Manhattan, New York City. This important bomb sign and the important stories and knowledge that God is telling that relate to this are explained in the U.S. bombers' airstrikes video. For example, the 2 paths of the 2 U.S. bombers that departed from Texas and took 44 hours to complete their mission and return to Texas point to the 2 paths of the 2 eclipses that will cross over each other 44 days after the 2 bomb signs that occurred on February 24th that were previously mentioned, when the second Great American Eclipse will first enter the U.S. through Texas. What I am saying is that when this prediction comes to pass, you should know that you need to watch every minute of every video on this channel, including all 70 of the videos that tell the different stories from God through different trails of prophetic signs that led to February 2nd and 3rd. The reason I say February 2nd and 3rd is because God was pointing to the 24th day of the month of Shavat in the Hebrew calendar, which began at sunset on February 2nd and went until sunset on February 3rd, and the airstrikes on Iraq and Syria occurred at midnight local time on February 2nd and 3rd. What I am saying is that the 70 videos in which it was predicted that a dirty bomb would explode in New York City on February 2nd and 3rd are 100% correct. What I am saying is do not skip these videos that are predicting February 2nd and 3rd. They must be watched. If you do not watch these videos and learn about the important stories God has been telling, you will have missed entirely the point of this prediction that is from God for 2 dirty bomb explosions and an evacuation in Manhattan, New York City on March 22nd. Believe me, I know far better than you why God is giving this prediction, and it is so that you learn the information that is contained in these 70 other videos that predicted February 2nd and 3rd. All right, now the signs that I'm about to explain that occurred on December 2nd, 2023 are exactly 68 weeks before the predicted dirty nuclear material bombs detonated in Manhattan, New York City on March 22nd, and the evacuation. 68 weeks because, as I mentioned earlier, 68 is the number equivalent of the word bomb in Hebrew gematria, as well as the equivalent of the name Obama, which hints at O-bomb-a. And as I mentioned earlier, the trail of signs led to January 13th, 2025, which is 68 days before March 22nd. In that trail of signs that I just explained, I briefly mentioned December 2nd, 2023, I think, regarding, maybe it didn't, but I mentioned at the very beginning of the intro of this video, the signs that occurred on December 2nd is the subject of this video. And December 2nd, 2023, and again, these signs first of all involve the symbolism we are talking about, which is the revelation that the dirty bombs and evacuation will occur on March 22nd. These signs on December 2nd, 2023 reveal this, and these signs are exactly 68 weeks before March 22nd, 2025. Also, as I'm about to explain, one of the key aspects, important aspects of these signs that occurred on December 2nd, 2023 was the 44 centimeters of snow. I'll explain. But 44 centimeters of snow, as I'll explain, hints at the 44th president. And again, this sign connects with 68 weeks exactly, and 68 is the equivalent of the name Obama. Prediction. Dirty bomb or suitcase nuke will explode in New York City on February 24th, 2024. As we can see, this email was composed on February 5th, 2024. It is predicted that on February 24th, 2024, a bomb consisting of nuclear material will explode in New York City and that there will be an evacuation. Uranium used in nuclear bombs was named after the planet Uranus, which had been discovered 4 + 4 years earlier. The 44th president was born on the date 8-4. The orbital period of Uranus is 84 years. Uranus rotates on its side, and so for 42 years, any location on Uranus will experience 42 years of sunlight followed by 42 years of darkness. In Bible prophecy, the period of the Antichrist is said to be a symbolic 42 months. In Hebrew gematria, the name Obama is equal to 84. In simple English gematria, the name Obama is equal to 32. By the way, if you don't know what gematria is, Roman, Greek, and Hebrew letters are also numbers, and as such, names and words can be converted into a numeric value. Okay, and again, we have this thing going on here. Uranus' orbit is 84 years. The Antichrist was born on the date 8-4. His name in gematria equals 84, but it also equals 32. And on December 2nd, 2023, the coast of the island of Okinawa was evacuated due to an emergency tsunami warning. The name Okinawa hints at Obama, and the U.S. has 32 military bases on Okinawa. In other words, the evacuation on Okinawa was a prophetic sign, which, by the way, was expected in advance of December 2nd. And Okinawa is the location from which the U.S. planes departed on their way to Japan to drop the first nuclear bombs. The island of Okinawa was from where the planes that dropped the first and only atomic bombs used in a war. In other words, Okinawa is nuclear bomb symbolism. On December 2nd, 2023, the coast of the island of Okinawa was evacuated due to an emergency tsunami warning. The name Okinawa hints at Obama, and the US has 32 military bases on Okinawa, and Obama's name equals 32. 84 days, okay? So we had 84 years for Uranus, which ties to uranium that's used in nuclear bombs, and it ties to Obama. His name equals 84, and he was born on the date 8/4. All right, 84 days after the Obama-Okinawa sign and the evacuation on December 2nd, 2023, and Okinawa symbolizes nuclear bombs, is the predicted evacuation of Manhattan Island, as in Okinawa Island, due to the predicted dirty bomb, nuclear bomb material explosion with uranium material. Okay, it's so amazing. I hope you got that, all of this. This 84 days is also 2,016 hours, which hints at 216, which equals 6 times 6 times 6, which hints at 666, the number of the Antichrist. Obama was born on the date 8/4, and his name equals 84, and he is predicted to become the 48th president, for which the number 84 hints at. This 84 days connection is also exactly 2 times 2 times 3 weeks, exactly, and the 48th number is 223, and Obama is predicted to become the 48th president, right? You follow that? So Obama is equal to 84, but 84 days is also 2 times 2 times 3 weeks, in other words, 12 weeks, and that hints at 223, which is the 48th prime number, because Obama will become the 48th president. This 84 days connection from the evacuation on the island with 32 military bases is also 23% of a year. And Obama, whose name equals 32, was the basketball president who wore jersey number 23. Now, regarding December 2nd, which is this paragraph here, okay, this paragraph is all about this connection from December 2nd. I did not even scratch the surface here. This is huge. There's so much to say about December 2nd. All right, God was leading trails of prophetic signs to December 2nd. This date was known months in advance to be the big date. Well, no, sorry, it was known 3 months or so, 2 months. It was known about 2 months ahead of time, all right? Because the previous date in the Trail of Signs before that was September 26th, all right? So anyway, the video that explains everything regarding December 2nd is the Okinawa O-bomb-a video. I'm promoting it because you need to watch that video. Now, in that video also was the Obama-related signs regarding the first and therefore symbolic Nazi concentration camp, because Obama will be leading the genocide in America of MAGA Republicans, true conservatives, and true Christians. All right, that is what's coming, and that was also what was hinted at in the signs, you'll see. And it was also a plane sign. There were the frozen plains in Munich due to the record 44 inches, as in the 44th president, of snow right near. This was the big European story of the day because of the flights that were backed up and canceled because of the snowstorm, which was mostly in Munich, right near the Dachau concentration camp. Okay? Anyway. You'll see in the video. It's amazing. There's lots to that, and it's very important. A few more interesting things to add here. Okinawa hints at Obama. Does Enola Gay hint at Obama gay, homosexual? Because if you don't know, Obama is a homosexual. I'm sorry, that's, the evidence for that is overwhelming. It's just the mainstream media brainwashes the people that follow it into thinking that that sort of thing is a wild conspiracy theory, but it isn't. there's so much evidence. Anyway, I'm not even going to get into it. Enough. Enola Gay is 480 in English gematria, which hints at 48 and the 48th president. And December 2nd, 2023 is 84 days to the predicted bomb in New York, right? So that could be a hint, because again, this December 2nd date, as I alluded to, which is explained further in the Obama Okinawa video on this channel that must be watched, okay, it's about Okinawa, and of course the Enola Gay is known for its departure flight from Okinawa. Okinawa is known for being the launch pad for the first and only atomic bombs being used in an act of war, right? All right. Now, the second plane that dropped the bomb on Nagasaki was named Boxcar. This is an anagram for Barack. That's clear. If you switch the letters around, you get Barack. Boxcar. So Boxcar Enola would seem to equal Barack Obama, right? Enola hints at Obama. The question is whether the gay... so an Obama was gay, right? Or he is gay, right? So Enola Gay, Barack Obama, Boxcar is Barack. All right. The names of the two bombs that were dropped refer to men. Two men. The names were Little Boy and Fat Man. The two atomic bombs that were dropped were given names, and the names were Little Bomb and Fat Man. This hints at the two Antichrist men. In Bible prophecy, there are two Antichrists described, right? And both of these two Antichrists delivered prophetic speeches from Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan. All right. By the way, the Pope visited the UNESCO World Heritage Site and the monument to what are called the hidden Christians, because of the Christians in that part of Japan that were in hiding because of persecution after they had converted, after the Portuguese had been there. All right. So, and Francis visited the Hidden Christians Monument 666 days after UNESCO declared the Hidden Christian sites to be World Heritage Sites. Amazing. Now, so both of these two antichrists were in Japan delivering nuclear weapons speeches. There's a very good reason for that. Israel is about to drop a nuclear bomb on Damascus, Syria. It's predicted to be on March 14th. And because of this, the world will gang up on Israel, and also demons pretending to be aliens, because that's what aliens are, will claim to be here to help us with our nuclear weapons. And the rise of power of the antichrists will be through this alien deception. It is predicted that on April 12th, the Pope will announce that the aliens have made him the ambassador for the world. Instantly giving him complete power over the world. Now, Francis is the fat man in this hidden sign from God, these two bombs that were named after men, hinting at the two men that delivered these prophetic speeches from Japan. Okay, so Francis is a fat man. He's a very fat man. So he is being alluded to with the fat man bomb. And Obama is a slight, short, skinny man. A little boy. And that's what's alluded to with the little boy bomb. As in O-bomb-a. That's not a coincidence, by the way. O-bomb-a is because of the role that bombs will be playing in the rise of him as the Antichrist, including the predicted bomb in New York City that this video is predicting. Enola Gay's serial number begins with 44. The serial number is 44-86292. The rest of the number sums to 9 plus 9 plus 9. And the number 9 is the most important number in God's big picture of signs, which is only being explained on this channel. As from the Bible, it symbolizes God's judgment, and God frequently repeats a number 3 times for emphasis of its symbolic meaning. So, judgment from the 44th by the 44th Antichrist, or through the 44th president, I should say. All right. God uses firsts for his signs. Obama spoke in Hiroshima, the first sitting president to do so, on May 27th, 2016. This is exactly 407 weeks before it is predicted that Israel will nuke Damascus on March 14th, 2024. 407 hints at 40 and 7, numbers from the account of Noah's flood in the Bible. Right? A 7-day period followed by a 40 days period is the mention in the account of the flood. The war with Japan began at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, the Rainbow State, which equals Noah's flood, where Obama is from, by the way. The war ended when the Enola Gay and Boxcar dropped bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The NTSB opened their report to the public regarding the Paradise Tours helicopter crash in Hawaii on October 31st, 2022, which was exactly 36 months after the historic barge moved for the first time at the edge of Niagara Falls, where the perennial rainbow is engendered due to a storm, as in Noah's flood symbolism, as is the falls itself, and so is the barge. The barge is actually symbolic of the ark that rescued Noah and his family, and the barge on the falls, on the river, that's stuck on the river, was involved in the most dramatic rescue in the history of Niagara Falls. All right, so so we're talking about this helicopter crash, okay, in Hawaii. There's lots more to this. I haven't even explained anything yet regarding this helicopter crash, or even for that matter, the importance of helicopters in God's signs. Okay, but the NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board, opened their report to the public regarding the Paradise Tours helicopter crash in Hawaii on October 31st, 2022, exactly 36 months, which hints at 666. Okay, by the way, it hints at 3 6s and 6 times 6 and 2 times 18, which is 6 plus 6 plus 6. And the 36th triangular number, which in a triangle of numbers, the last number in the 36th row is 666. And 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 4 all the way up to 36 equals 666. Okay, so this was exactly 36 months after the historic barge moved for the first time at the edge of Niagara Falls due to storm, which caused record flooding in New York. Okay, flooding being Noah's flood symbolism. All right. And that, in turn, was 44 days after the 4th wettest storm in the 4 times 7th state's history, Texas, that dumped 4 feet of water over 4 days on the 4th biggest city in the U.S. The reason why I just hinted at the 28th state as being 4 times 7 is because this helicopter that the NTSB is talking about is a Bell 407 model of helicopter. All right, that's the reason for getting into all of this. And again, we are originally talking about this 407 weeks connection. All right, but I'm going to tie it all together. Just be patient here. Okay, so 2 times 3 people were in the helicopter and all were injured. This report was released exactly 23 years after Egypt Air Flight 990. 990 is the 44th triangular number, went down on the 31st of the month in 1999. All right, in 99, Flight 990, all right. Now, the story of the crash of Egypt Air 990 was about its controversial report. Hence the connection to the report that's controversial because of what I'm about to explain of the helicopter crash in Hawaii. But if you know the history of Egypt Air 990, it was extremely controversial because the Egyptian government didn't want it to be known that the pilot was yelling out Islamic things as he was flying the plane into the ocean. They wanted it to be a malfunction or whatever, right? So there's a huge story to that, and it went on for many months. It was like one of the stories of the year, but it centered around the controversial report regarding this. All right, so it's about a report, and that's why 23 years we have the report of the helicopter crash. All right. Now, Egypt Air 990, as in the 44th triangular number, in a triangle of numbers, the last number in the 44th row is 990, crashed on the 31st of the month, 4 plus 4 days after Harrison Ford crashed his helicopter in the 31st state. The reason for the 31st state and the 31st of the month is because the first verse in Isaiah chapter 31 is woe to those who go down to Egypt, which is what Barack Obama did right after he became the president. He went down to Cairo, Egypt, to deliver his famous Cairo, Egypt speech, in which he said, in order to tell the Muslim world that America is no longer a Christian nation. Anyway, so that's why Egypt Air, on the 31st of the month, 4 plus 4 days after Harrison Ford crashed his helicopter in the 31st state. Now, the NTSB report on the 31st of the month in 2022 regarded an issue with the tail of the Bell 407 model helicopter. Now, the reason why God has been using helicopters in his signs is that helicopters in his signs symbolize dragons because of their tails and their rotor blades. But also their rotor blades are X's. And he is also using the helicopter signs for symbolism for the mark of the Antichrist, which is symbolized by an X. Okay, so the report, then an emergency report regarding these Bell 407 helicopters was issued soon after, on the day of the release of the trailer officially for the new Harrison Ford Indiana Jones movie. Hence the connection to Harrison Ford's crashing of his helicopter. The theme song to Indiana Jones movies, including in the trailer, is a trumpet song. Okay, and trumpets in the Bible are alerts, as in the book of Joshua, as in the trumpets that were blown before the walls of security collapsed in God's judgment. Okay? The report of the emergency alert for the Bell 407 helicopters was a trumpet, and it was released, and that alert came out on the same day of the release of the Indiana Jones trailer, which trumpeted the trumpet song that Indiana Jones is known for. All right. The report on the Bell 407 crash in the 50th state is exactly 500 days to the date it is predicted that Israel will nuke Damascus. By the way, Damascus itself is symbolized by 44. All right? It's the oldest continuously inhabited city in the world, and in the Bible, Damascus symbolizes the world. And the number 4 symbolizes the world and created things, which is why the 44th president is the Antichrist, by the way. But also, the 500th word in the Strong's Concordance is Antichrist, which is the significance of the 500 days connection from the 50th state. Okay, so therefore, Flight 990, the 44th triangular number, connects with 23 years, because God pairs 44 and 23 and 9 to confirm his signs and connections. The Antichrist 44th president became the president in 2009, and he was the basketball president who wore jersey number 23 in Hawaii. Okay, so therefore, the Flight 990 connects with 23 years to the 2 times 3 injured in the Bell 407 in the 50th state, which connects with 500 days to the Damascus nuking. And this is a pairing of 23 and 44 and 9, which confirms the signs and connections. The reason this Bell 407 prophetic sign is relevant to the 407 weeks connection between O-bomb-a in Hiroshima and the date it is predicted that the nuke will explode on Damascus is that the Bell 407 crashed in Hawaii in the Pacific, and the war with Japan for supremacy in the Pacific began in Hawaii and ended with a nuclear bomb. In other words, the Bell 407 sign and 500 days connection is a second witness to the 407 weeks connection between O-bomb-a in Hiroshima and the predicted nuclear bomb. The next use after the nuclear bomb was used in Hiroshima, predicted to be used on Damascus on March 14th, 2024. I hope I explained that clearly enough. We've got the 2 connections. One involves 407 weeks, and the other involves the Bell 407 helicopter. Both connect to March 14th, the date it is predicted that the nuclear bomb will explode on Damascus, dropped by Israel, which will lead to the Antichrist persecuting Jews in Jerusalem. This is where it's all headed. Believe me, I know far better than you how the prediction made in this video was derived. And more importantly, I know far better than you why the righteous Christian God of the Bible has given me a voice through this prediction. If you are a quote-unquote Christian or Muslim, this prediction was not learned through a demon. Be warned that blaspheming the Holy Spirit is the unforgivable sin. If you are a New Ager or New Spirituality person, this prediction was not learned through somehow tapping into the supposed universal collective consciousness. If you are a conspiracy theorist, this prediction was not learned through figuring out a supposed code that the Illuminati and Satanists are using. This prediction was learned through the Bible and through watching carefully the Lord's prophetic signs, which Jesus commanded all Christians to do. Besides proving that Jesus Christ is the Lord, the reason why God has given me a voice through this prediction is to prove that the controversial things that I am saying in the videos on this channel are the truth. Therefore, a wise person will want to watch all of the videos on this channel. What I will also do is create a video or 2 that summarizes some of the controversial things that the Lord will prove to be true when the prediction being made in this video comes to pass. I will leave links to these must-watch videos in the description box below this video. Again, the purpose of this prediction, that is from God, is to prove these things that I will talk about. And therefore, it would be foolish to not watch the videos that I will leave links for in the description box below this video. Aliens and UFOs are demons masquerading as aliens and UFOs. Most people's spiritual experiences are demonic deception, especially if they are not a true follower of Christ. In the last days, many people who claim to be a follower of Christ will have spiritual experiences that are in reality demonic. God became a man and died a horrible death at the hand of the ruler of this world, Satan, and then defeated death for you, so that you too can overcome death, which is the price that must be paid for sin. It is time to repent, which means to change one's ways and turn to God and become a disciple of Jesus. Do not listen to or follow the example of most quote-unquote Christians. Instead, follow the teachings of Jesus, which most quote-unquote Christians ignore. Like Jesus, you must surrender your life. Put nothing ahead of Jesus, your Lord. Like Jesus, you must lay down your life so that you may live. As Jesus said, one must die first, like a kernel of wheat going into the ground, in order to then grow and produce fruit. And like Jesus said, one must produce fruit, or else like a branch or a tree not producing fruit, they will be thrown into the fire. Jesus was speaking to quote-unquote Christians when he said this. One must die the self in order to be born again. And like Jesus said, one must be born again to enter the kingdom. Like Jesus, you must sacrifice your life for the sake of the coming kingdom. It means to do work that involves some form of sacrifice and risk. To have faith does not mean to intellectually agree. You need to demonstrate your faith through taking action. To have faith means to trust in God's promises. Taking action demonstrates trust and fear of the Lord. The primary reason that the wrath of God is coming upon America is quote-unquote Christians that do not get what I have just explained. The only reason a Christian is alive is in order to help other people become Christians and make it to the kingdom. Do not be deceived by those on the political left claiming to be quote-unquote Christians. There is no such thing as a Christian on today's political progressive left. Jesus said, "Do not think I have come to abolish or change any bit of the law or the prophets of the Old Testament Bible." In other words, the God of the Old Testament Bible is the exact same God of the New Testament Bible. It is essential that you learn about the God of the Bible and his ways. The God of the Old Testament Bible is looking to see who will fear him, and to fear God is not the same thing as quote-unquote revering or honoring God. Through Christ's ransom payment, a Christian is someone who has been redeemed and freed from slavery to sin and Satan. In response, a true Christian recognizes that their life in this world does not belong to them, and they become a willing slave to Jesus for the sake of the kingdom. Please leave a like and upvote the video, and once this prediction has come to pass, share this video with everyone you know, and more. Don't stop sharing it everywhere in social media. And don't only put the link to this video or another video on this channel in comments sections of places you typically visit, but importantly, put the link to the video in places you never visit, where people who don't think like you visit. If you are a quote-unquote Christian, nothing in terms of an evangelism tool compares to this video with its prediction. It is a massive bag of gold. Beware of Jesus' warning through the quote-unquote Christian that did nothing with his bag of gold and was banished to hell. Also, read Ezekiel chapter 3 and 33 for this same warning. If you think you might be spending too much time watching videos instead of working and sacrificing for the kingdom through handing out flyers and potentially helping hundreds of people in the same length of time as a video, my flyer is filled with amazing information that people need to know right now, and it points people to the video channel. Now is not the time to be handing out typical evangelical tracts that are largely based in error anyway, such as, quote, Jesus loves you, unquote, for example. You can hand out the flyer on busy street corners, put them on car windshields in busy parking lots, and put them in mailboxes. Just send the file to your local print shop. You can download the file from the website. Please leave a like and upvote the video, and once this prediction has come to pass, share this video with everyone you know, and more, don't stop sharing it everywhere in social media. It is essential that everyone immediately read the homepage of my website, asteroidprediction.com. If you are watching this on the YouTube platform, please note that not all of the videos are on YouTube. You need to switch to the Odyssey.com or Rumble.com channel, and do it now in case you aren't able to later.